War has shaped the course of human history. From the conquests of Alexander the Great to the trenches of World War I, from the atomic bombings of Hiroshima to the drone strikes of today, conflict has been a constant in our story. But here's the question: can war ever be just? Are there times when violence is not only necessary but morally justified? Today, we're diving into the ethics of war, exploring the philosophy, the history, and the uncomfortable truths behind one of humanity's oldest dilemmas. Welcome to Impact Journal, where we draw parallels between current events and historical pasts. The idea of a just war dates back centuries. Philosophers like Augustine and Thomas Aquinas laid the groundwork for what we now call just war theory. According to this framework, a war can be morally justified if it meets certain criteria. It must be waged for a just cause, by a legitimate authority, with the right intention, and as a last resort. But here's the problem: these criteria are often subjective. What counts as a just cause? Who decides what a legitimate authority is? And how do we know when all other options have truly been exhausted? Even in the modern era, with institutions like the United Nations and international courts, these questions remain unresolved. The line between just and unjust war is often blurred by politics, power, and propaganda. Let's look at some historical examples. World War II is often cited as a just war, fought to stop the spread of fascism and genocide. But even here, the use of atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki raises ethical questions. Were these acts necessary to end the war, or were they unjustifiable atrocities? Then there's the Vietnam War, widely criticized as an unjust conflict driven by Cold War politics. And the Iraq War, justified by claims of weapons of mass destruction that were never found. These examples show how easily the principles of just war theory can be manipulated or ignored. And let's not forget the human cost. In modern warfare, civilian casualties often outnumber military deaths. Does this make it impossible for any war to be truly just? War forces us to confront profound moral dilemmas. Is it ever acceptable to kill innocent people for a greater good? Can violence ever lead to lasting peace? And what about the soldiers who carry out these orders? Are they heroes, victims, or both? Philosophers like Immanuel Kant argued that war is inherently immoral because it treats people as means to an end rather than as ends in themselves. But others, like Machiavelli, saw war as a necessary tool of statecraft. Where do we draw the line? Even when wars end, the ethical questions don't go away. How do we hold war criminals accountable? How do we rebuild societies torn apart by conflict? And how do we prevent future wars from happening? Modern technology has added new layers to the ethics of war. Drones and autonomous weapons allow us to wage war from a distance, reducing risk to our own soldiers but increasing the potential for civilian casualties. Cyberattacks can cripple entire nations without firing a single shot. And artificial intelligence raises the terrifying possibility of machines making life-and-death decisions. These advancements challenge our traditional notions of just war. If a drone strike kills civilians, who is responsible? If a cyberattack disrupts a hospital, is it a war crime? And if AI starts making decisions on the battlefield, do we lose our humanity in the process? So, is it possible to end war? Some argue that war is an inevitable part of human nature, driven by greed, fear, and the desire for power. Others believe that with enough effort, we can create a world where conflict is resolved through dialogue, not violence. Organizations like the United Nations and initiatives like the Nobel Peace Prize show that progress is possible. But it requires a collective commitment to justice, equality, and empathy. It requires us to confront the uncomfortable truths about our past and present. As Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. But it's up to us to bend it." By understanding the ethics of war, we can start to imagine a future where peace is not just an ideal, but a reality. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the ethics of war. If this video made you think, please like, share, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Together, we can explore the big questions that shape our world. Until next time, stay curious.